may raise your standards, creating a new personal identity of excellence. There's a sentence Tony Robbins repeats over and over. You don't get what you want, you get what you're willing to tolerate. Sit with that for a second. Most people say they want better health, better relationships, more money, more confidence. But if you look at their actual life, what they consistently settle for tells the real story. I want to be fit, but I tolerate constant exhaustion, junk food, and never moving my body. I want deep love, but I tolerate being breadcrumbed, disrespected, or kept as a backup. I want financial freedom, but I tolerate chaos with money, no plan, and hiding from the numbers. The gap between what you say you want and what you actually have is your standard. This isn't about guilt or blame, it's about power. Because the moment you raise your standards, the moment you truly decide, I don't live at that level anymore, your identity starts to shift and your life has to follow. In this guide, we'll explore what standards really are, how standards are connected to your identity, why most people keep their standards low even when they're suffering, a step-by-step process to raise your standards in health, money, relationships, and self-worth, how to handle slip-ups without lowering the bar again, a 30-day standards upgrade. You can actually live out. If you take this seriously, you won't just improve your habits. You'll become someone new, someone who simply doesn't live below a certain level anymore. 1. What are standards really? Standards are the minimum level of life you are willing to accept from yourself and from the world around you. They're not your dreams, they're not your wishes. They're the line where you say, oh, below this I will not live. You can see standards clearly in everyday life. Hygiene is a standard. You don't try to brush your teeth, you just do it. Safety is a standard. You don't try to stop at red lights, you just do. Communication level in a relationship. Some people accept screaming and name calling, others never do. The difference? One person has a high standard for how they are spoken to, another doesn't yet. You can want a loving relationship, but if your standard is as long as they don't leave, I'll tolerate anything, your life will match your standard, not your wish. You can want wealth, but if your standard is, I'll get around to money stuff someday, you will repeatedly live at the edge of survival. Your standards are like an internal thermostat. If your life rises above your standard, you may unconsciously sabotage it to come back to familiar territory. If your life falls below your standard, you eventually snap and say no more. The goal is to consciously set that thermostat higher, and then become the person who naturally lives at that level. 2. Standards and identity. I'm the kind of person who Tony's work always comes back to identity. The strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. Your identity sounds like, I'm the type of person who, fill in the blank, always puts others first, can't stick to anything, gets things done no matter what, always figures it out, is always late. That identity dictates your standards. If your identity is, I'm the type of person who always ends up second best, your standards will naturally allow being treated like an option, staying in one-sided relationships, overgiving to keep people around. If your identity becomes, I'm the type of person who is respected and chosen by the right people, your standards shift to, I don't chase people who don't choose me. I don't stay where I'm constantly disrespected. I don't allow someone's inconsistency to be my normal. Raising your standards is really about upgrading your identity from I'm just surviving to I'm someone who builds and grows, from I'm broken to I'm someone who is healing and becoming stronger, from I'm unlovable to I'm someone who gives and receives real, healthy love. Once that identity is in place, certain behaviors become natural, automatic, non-negotiable. You don't have to force them, you simply act like who you now believe you are. 3. Why we keep our standards low. If low standards cause so much pain, why do we cling to them? There are a few big reasons. 3.1 Familiarity feels safer than freedom. Your nervous system gets used to whatever it experiences often, even if it's unhealthy. Constant drama can feel normal. Toxic relationships can feel familiar. Chaos with money can feel like home. Raising your standards means stepping into a space that feels unfamiliar, people treating you well, having money left over, saying no to what you once accepted. Your brain might label that as scary or fake simply because it's new. 3.2 Fear of being alone or losing what you have. When you raise your standards, some things will fall away. Certain relationships, certain habits, certain environments. If your deepest fear is being alone or losing approval, then you'll lower your standards to keep people around. You'll convince yourself it's not that bad just to avoid change. But the cost is high. You abandon yourself to keep others. You betray your own needs to keep the peace. You accept less than you deserve, and your self-respect shrinks. 3.3 Old programming and who do you think you are? If you grew up hearing, don't be selfish, you're too much. People like us don't do big things. Raising your standards can trigger guilt and shame. Who do I think I am to want more? What if everyone thinks I'm arrogant now? So you stay at a level that doesn't rock the boat. Here's the truth. Wanting respect, peace, and growth is not arrogance. It's your birthright. You're not saying I'm better than anyone. You're saying I refuse to treat myself as less than I am. 4. A step-by-step process to raise your standards. Let's turn this into something practical. You're going to 1. Get honest about your current standards. 2. Decide who you are becoming. 3. Set new standards in key areas. 4. Translate them into concrete behaviors. 5. Build an environment and rituals that support your new identity. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight, but you do need to start. Step 1. Get brutally honest about what you currently tolerate. Pick 4 areas: health and energy, money and work, love and relationships, self-worth and emotions. Under each, answer: what am I currently tolerating that I know is below what I truly want? If someone I loved were living like this, would I tell them it's okay? Or would I tell them they deserve more? Examples: health and energy. I tolerate being exhausted most of the time. I tolerate barely moving my body. I tolerate using food or screens to numb my feelings every night. Money and work. I tolerate not knowing where my money goes. I tolerate work that drains me and gives me no sense of growth. I tolerate never asking for more because I'm afraid of conflict. Love and relationships. I tolerate people who only call when they need something. I tolerate being spoken to with disrespect. I tolerate staying in connections where I feel small and anxious, not safe and seen. Self-worth and emotions. I tolerate calling myself names in my own head. I tolerate pushing my needs to the bottom of the list. I tolerate living in constant worry and never creating moments of real joy on purpose. Don't judge yourself. You're just inventorying what's actually happening right now. This honesty is not an attack. It's the door to your power. Step 2. Decide who you are becoming. Now shift from what am I tolerating to who am I choosing to be from now on. For each area, write, I am the kind of person who, examples, health and energy. I am the kind of person who treats my body with basic respect and care. I am the kind of person who moves daily, even a little. Money and work. I am the kind of person who knows what's happening with my money. I am the kind of person who grows my skills and value. Love and relationships. I am the kind of person who is honest about my needs and expects mutual respect. I am the kind of person who walks away from what consistently hurts me. Self-worth and emotions. I am the kind of person who speaks to myself with kindness. I am the kind of person who creates moments of peace and joy, even on hard days. Read your I am statements out loud. You might not fully believe them yet. That's okay. They are actual decisions, not yet habits. Step 3. Turn identity into standards. Now, for each area, define what you will no longer accept, what you will insist on. Write them clearly. Example, relationships, no longer tolerate, being yelled at, name-called, or belittled, being consistently ignored, ghosted, or breadcrumbed, being the only one putting in effort, require, basic respect, even during conflict, honest communication, mutual effort and interest. Example, health, no longer tolerate, going weeks without any movement, ignoring constant fatigue and pain without seeking help, using food or substances every day to escape feelings, require, some form of movement most days, paying attention to your body's signals, at least one healthy act of care for your body daily. Your standards should be specific, behavioral, non-negotiable. They're not things you'll try to do more often. They're the new floor, not the ceiling. Step 4. Translate standards into daily behaviors. A standard with no behaviors is just a slogan. Ask yourself, if I truly had this standard, what would I actually do differently this week? Pick small, repeatable actions that match the new level. Examples, health and energy. Standard, I move my body every day. Behaviors, 10-20-minute walk daily, no matter what. Stretch for 5 minutes before bed. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. Money and work. Standard, I know where my money goes. Behaviors, look at bank/wash credit accounts every Sunday for 10 minutes. Write down every bill and due date this month. Use a simple notes app to track spending for 30 days. Love and relationships. Standard, I do not accept consistent disrespect. Behaviors, when someone raises their voice, you calmly say, I'm willing to talk, but not like this, and step away if it continues. You stop chasing people who repeatedly ignore you. You invest more time in people who show care and consistency. Self-worth and emotions. Standard, I speak to myself with basic respect. Behaviors, when you notice harsh self-talk, you interrupt it and replace it with one kinder sentence. You spend 5 minutes a day doing something that fills you up. You check in with your feelings instead of immediately numbing out. Write 2-3 behaviors per area. These behaviors are how your new identity walks around in the world. Step 5. Design an environment that matches your standards. You can't expect high standards to thrive in an environment built for your old life. Ask, what in my environment pulls me back into old patterns? What could I add or remove to make my new standards easier to live? Examples, delete or mute contacts that constantly drag you into drama. Remove apps that you use to self-sabotage. Create a calming corner at home where you can journal, breathe, or just reset. Organize your space so healthy actions are easier. Also, look at the people around you. Who lives at the level you want to live? Who constantly pulls you below your standards? You may not be able to fully change your circle overnight, but you can. Spend more time with those who support and respect your growth. Spend less time with those who try to drag you back into the old story. Your standards will be much easier to uphold when your environment doesn't fight them. 5. Handling slip-ups without dropping your standards. Raising your standards isn't about becoming a robot who never messes up. You will have days you don't move your body, answer a text you wish you hadn't, overspend, slip back into negative self-talk. The key is how you respond. 5.1. Don't confuse standards with perfection. A standard means, this is the direction I'm committed to. It doesn't mean, if I ever miss, I'm trash and I should quit. When you slip, 1. Notice it. That choice came from my old level, not my new standard. 2. Take responsibility, not shame. Okay, that was me slipping. I own it. 3. Recommit quickly. My standard hasn't changed. I'm still the kind of person who 4. Take one small corrective action. If you binged, drink water, move a bit, get back to your plan at the next meal. If you accepted disrespect, enforce a boundary next time, or clarify how you expect to be treated. If you overspent, pause other spending for a few days, review your budget. The only real danger is using a slip as evidence that I can't do this. This isn't who I am. That's your old identity trying to pull you back. 5.2. Learn the pattern, not just the event. Each slip contains data. When did it happen? What were you feeling? What triggered it? What were you believing about yourself in that moment? Maybe you realize you cave to disrespect when you're tired and lonely. You overspend when you feel unseen or bored. You skip self-care when you're in people-pleasing mode. Good, now you know where to focus. Protect your sleep. Find healthy ways to meet the need for connection. Learn to say no more often so you're not burned out. Raising standards is not about punishing yourself, it's about understanding your patterns and choosing better more often. 6. A 30-day standards upgrade. Challenge. If you want this to move from inspiration to reality, here's a simple month-long plan. Week 1. Awareness and identity. Write down what you're currently tolerating in the 4 areas: health, money, relationships, self-worth. Create your I am the kind of person who statements for each area. Choose one area to focus on first. Write your focus area and identity statement somewhere visible. Example: focus, relationships. Identity: I am the kind of person who is respected, valued, and chosen by people who truly care. Week 2. Set standards and behaviors. For your chosen area, write, I will no longer tolerate. I will now require. Create 2 to 3 daily or near daily behaviors that reflect this new standard. Example: no longer tolerate being yelled at or insulted, being the only one making plans. One-sided emotional labor. Require respectful tone, mutual effort, basic reliability. Behaviors: if someone insults you, you calmly say, I don't accept being spoken to that way, and end the interaction. You do not keep reaching out to people who show no effort. You intentionally reach out to supportive, kind people or communities at least twice a week. Practice these every day in small ways. Week 3. Environment and support. Adjust your environment. Remove or limit triggers that drag you down. Add reminders that lift you up. Tell at least one trusted person about your new standard. I'm working on not accepting disrespect in my relationships anymore. I'm working on taking my health seriously. Hold me accountable to move every day. Choose supportive influences. Books, audios, videos that reinforce your new identity. People who live closer to the level you want. You're teaching your brain that this new level is normal, not fantasy. Week 4. Integration and refinement. Now that you've lived this new standard for a few weeks, ask, where did I feel powerful? Ask, where did I cave? Ask, what adjustments do I need? You may find some standards need to be even higher than you thought. Some need to be more realistic. Some behaviors have been game changers. Double down on them. End the 30 days with a written summary. Here's who I was when I began. Here's who I'm becoming now. Here are the standards I refuse to drop. Then choose your shine next area and repeat. 7. You are allowed to expect more from yourself and your life. Raising your standards is not about perfection. It's not about being harsh or unforgiving with yourself. It's about saying, I will not keep living at a level that crushes my spirit. I am worth more than my worst habits, my lowest moments, or the way others have treated me. You are allowed to expect better behavior from yourself, kinder inner language, more respect from others, more courage from your choices, more alignment between what you say you want and how you live. It will be uncomfortable at times. People used to the old version of you may resist. Your old patterns will try to drag you back. But every time you hold your standard, even a little, you rewrite your identity. I'm not the person who puts up with that anymore. I'm not the person who abandons myself to keep the peace. I'm not the person who always comes last on my own list. You are becoming someone new, so ask yourself right now, in one sentence, who am I deciding to be? What will I no longer tolerate in my life? What is one behavior I will do today that belongs to my new standard, not my old one? Write it, say it, live it, even if today is just 1% more than yesterday. Because your future doesn't change when the world finally treats you better. It changes when you finally decide, this is my new standard, this is who I am now, and I will build a life that reflects it.